Hello and welcome to the Mind Body Masters podcast, and you're listening to episode number 23. Now, imagine what it would be like to live in constant pain, have almost no energy, and to have your life completely dictated by your symptoms. Well, for our next guest, Brittany, this was the case for her. She was struggling as what we call a spoonie, dealing with the effects of chronic pain, chronic fatigue, and living a life of trying to find solutions. Brittany was doing all kinds of treatments, all kinds of therapies, taking all of the supplements and doing all of the diets. In fact, healing became her full-time job. But the problem was she wasn't getting any results. Now, in this episode, we're going to meet with Brittany and we're going to hear what made the difference for her. We're going to hear what happened when she started to look at healing from the inside out as opposed to the outside in. So in this episode, you're going to hear all about how she was battling with her body to now how she was able to make peace with her body and also her mind. So if you're someone who has struggled with chronic health issues, if you're someone that has to cancel plans all the time because of lack of energy and lack of motivation, well, this episode is going to really resonate with you, and I'm sure Brittany's story is going to inspire you. So be sure to stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jay Curry. As a former chiropractor, I realised that people's physical symptoms started in their mind and not in their body, which is why I now teach people how to heal themselves from the inside out. Now, you don't need to be a monk or a mystic to heal yourself. You just need to learn how to master your mind-body connection. And this podcast is going to show you how. You're going to learn how to understand the hidden meaning of your symptoms, resolve the old emotional baggage that's kept you stuck, and gain practical tools to reduce the stress in your life. This is going to give you the ability to heal not only physically, but also spiritually. And this comes with a dangerous level of freedom. So let's help you become a mind-body master. All right, we're live, and I'm here today with Brittany Bohach. She is one of our founding members of the Mind Body Masters program, and we're going to be hearing all about her story, her journey, and where she was and what was going on in her life before learning about this awesome work. So, Brittany, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. It's good to have you here too. Now, I just wanted to get you on today because I thought that so many people can probably relate to where you were and what was going on in your life prior to starting to do the inner work, prior to starting to look at how your mind affects your body. And I just wanted, we first connected back in May 2020. So that was a little while ago. Now, just tell me where you were, what was going on in your life around that time, particularly when it comes to your health.
Yeah. So even before that, I started to have a lot of physical intensity in my body, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I had to look at some different things. I felt really sick all the time. I felt like my body was just so intense. My body was just like filled with fibromyalgia kind of pain. I couldn't eat certain things. I just thought that I was on all of these diet protocols, and it it was a full-time identity sort of thing. I identified as a spoonie, and it it was a lot. It was a lot of things going on in my body, and I tried all kinds of things, and it didn't really work. So then I found you, and I had our consult, and it like completely shifted things for me. It was really cool.
Okay, sweet. Let's go back a step. What's a spoonie?
Spoonie.
Tell me about what this is, because this is a new term for me. And yeah, let me know what does it mean?
Yeah, so I dove into the whole world of chronic illness on the interwebs, and it was a name that comes up for people that identify with the spoon theory. It's so that every day you're given a certain amount of spoons, and doing certain tasks takes a certain amount of spoons. And whenever your spoons are gone, that's it. So people had to really be conservative of the spoons that they're giving. When you have chronic illness, they're even more limited. So I identified that I only have limited resources, and it's just the sickness that goes along with it. So I really identified with that. and it wasn't really awesome
Mm-hmm.
while I was in it. But then I came out of that identity, and it was like, oh no, it doesn't need to be that way.
Okay. And so when you're talking about resources, I'm assuming you mean like energy. Is that right?
Yeah. So taking a shower might take a certain amount of spoons, or going out for dinner,
Mm-hmm.
or going to a concert or things. It really depletes your energy. So you have to be really mindful of what you're giving your energy to. And for some people, they could just go really quick. Some people might have more spoons on a certain day versus another, but it's more being mindful of where your energy is going. And for people with chronic illness, it said that it's more limited. But that's not a paradigm that works for me anymore.
Yeah, we got to remember this is not you today. This is you back
No.
in 2020 and previous to that. So, with being this Spoonie, like I guess it's kind of hard for me to understand, but I'm assuming that like what that means is that you had to be very careful with what you did. And what would happen, Brittany, if you spent all of your spoons?
I would just get exhausted. I would need to sleep. I would just be done. I'm done for the
Hmm.
day. Like, um, wouldn't really have the resources to make a meal. I couldn't eat. Um, Getting through the workday was really hard sometimes. I would cancel plans a lot. Like we
Hmm.
had plans to go out for dinner for the weekend, and like I'm just not feeling up to it. I've got to cancel.
Hmm.
Um, that was really frustrating. Um, but I think that there were um, more influences there than just physical. I think it was more of an emotional thing too. But it was a lot easier just to say, oh well, I don't have the energy because I'm sick, because I have these diagnoses, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
That it was more of a cop out for when I didn't feel like it, and more than just physically sometimes.
Yeah, got you. And I can imagine that would be pretty frustrating at times to go. You might have dinner with your girlfriends or your friends or whatever, and then it's just like,
Yeah,
oh, actually, no, I can't do this because I'm just not up to it today.
yeah. So in some ways it was great because it was a cop out if I didn't want to go, but there were other
Gotcha.
times that it was really frustrating
Yeah.
when I wanted to, and I felt like I had no control over my body, and my body would dictate what I could and couldn't do.
Hmm.
Um, and I would just get really upset
Yeah.
that I had no control, no say. Like I was working, my body was working against me,
Hmm.
and that was not a good way to think about it.
Yeah. And one of the things that we teach inside MBM is that your body isn't working against you. It's always working for you. Do you want to touch on what that means to you?
Yeah, that it's no longer this idea of an antagonistic relationship. My body's not trying to sabotage me. My body is not trying to work against me. It's not rebelling. It's not the warrior. Sometimes that comes up in the chronic illness community. I'm just a fibromyalgia warrior. I'm a warrior, and it brings up the idea of a controversy or a conflict, and that's no longer what energy I want to embody. It's more that my body is working for me. My body is doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's healing me. It's helping me. I'm a partner with my body. I'm grateful for my body. It helps me to do really awesome things in this world. And I treat it as such. So
Yeah,
that's been a
wow.
really cool shift.
That's amazing. And that's so true too, is that fight, that being a chronic fatigue warrior or a fibromyalgia warrior, it requires a lot of energy. It means that you're constantly in a battle. And I think when people really understand, like you have, that your symptoms aren't a problem, your body isn't broken, your body isn't faulty, it's actually working for you. That's when you can start to, oh, okay, well, I just need to deal with the root issue here, which we'll get to in a minute. But I just want to talk about that because obviously, if you were experiencing that case of being a spoonie and only having so many spoons worth of energy to do certain things throughout the day, there's two things I want to touch on there. Firstly, in terms of your spoons, how many spoons do you have these days? Do you have
A
to
lot
still
more than
cancel? Do you still have to cancel plans and things like that?
no, not from that same energy. If I do, I cancel them because I want to or need to, not because my body dictates that.
Gotcha.
So I have way more spoons. I don't even think about spoons anymore.
Perfect.
That I have the energy to do the things that I need to do, that I want to do. Um, and that it's just a lot easier. Like
Hmm.
it's not something that I think about even anymore.
Awesome. Because I imagine so many people have to plan their life around their illness. And
Absolutely.
we were chatting the other day, and I know you're going on vacation soon. Like, is that something that was a concern for you going into going on vacation?
Oh, absolutely. It was the planning ahead of time with the diet. So am I going to be able to find something to eat because I can't have XYZ food? Am I going to be able to have time to go back to a hotel room and rest? Am I going to be able to go on an excursion all day of something really physical, or am I going to need a nap throughout the day? I would think about all of those things, and it's not even on my radar anymore.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
so
So,
cool.
so you're going on holidays next week, right?
On Saturday,
Awesome.
just here in a couple of days. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you haven't really needed to prepare of where you need to rest or what food you can eat.
Nope.
That's
Nope.
awesome.
It's
And
so cool.
and with that, does that make it a bit more easy to enjoy things?
Yeah, I can relax. I don't have to read the menu ahead of time. I don't
Hmm.
have to make sure that my hotel room is fragrance free and mold free and blah blah blah. Like it's such a cool energy, and it's an appreciation. Like, oh, that's where I was, and now I can thoroughly enjoy being present and not really think about that, and be okay with my body handling things as they come up, and like, hey, I got this. It's okay. It's nothing to stress about. I can go relax.
Wow, that's
Yeah, it's
amazing.
cool.
And I think the reason I wanted you on the show is because I'm sure so many people can relate to that in terms of their life is dictated and run by their chronic symptoms, their fibromyalgia, their chronic fatigue. Their life is run by how many spoons that they have. And I think one of the beautiful things is when you start to do the inner work, when you start to heal, and when you start to partner with your body instead of working against it, all of a sudden you free up so much mental space of not having to worry about what things are on the menu, or if there's going to be dust in the room, or whatever. And I think that's just such a powerful, powerful thing for everyone listening.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a freeing feeling. So it's freed up so much bandwidth, like you said, that
Hmm.
I can think about other things like enjoying life and being present rather than stewing and stressing and oh my goodness, that I can relax.
So it sounds like your mind's calmed down a little bit as well.
It has. I'm noticing that my mind just wants to go to like something else to stress about. Like, I don't want to step back into that because that was not comfortable.
Hmm.
That's not a healthy place to be. So learning to quiet that hamster wheel spinning mindset, um, and just really being present.
Awesome. And that's what it all comes down to is one of the things that I often talk about is when you become present, healing is something that starts to happen quite naturally. And
Yeah.
like, you don't have to think about healing a cut on your finger. Your body knows how to do it. And when you get really present, when you learn how to quiet down, this is when your body can start to heal. So one of the things, and I'm going to get into more of this as we go, but one of the things is being exhausted, having all this fibromyalgia type pain. I'm assuming that led you to try and find answers in the traditional sense, right? So I'm assuming
Yeah.
and one of the things that you told me before we got on air today was it sort of almost became a bit of an obsession of finding what was wrong with you. Do you want to talk a little bit to that, Brittany?
Yeah. So when I started having the fibromyalgia kind of symptoms, reactions to food, or what I thought were reactions to food, I went to a general practitioner, my regular doctor, and they're like, well, run some labs. Like, okay, this is what's coming back. We don't know what to tell you. Like, okay. So I started to think outside of the box, and I came across like functional medicine. I came across alternative kind of healing, more woo woo, non traditional kind of things. And I went to pretty much every kind of practitioner under the sun: naturopath, energy healing, chiropractor, acupuncture. I went to talk therapy. I went to group therapy. I had massages. I had all kinds of alphabet soup of therapies done. And it was just one more thing. Oh well, that didn't work. Let me try another one. It's out there. That just wasn't the one for me. It's out there. Let me go find it. They have all the answers. I just need somebody different to tell me the answer for the diagnosis that I'm looking for to make it all make sense. I never got that. So it was just another thing to keep my mind busy from being present with what was truly in front of me, like what's going on. And if I sat still long enough, it would just kind of be more calm. But I
Wow.
really did take on the identity of I've got to find one more thing and one more thing and one more thing. It's out there. But then I realized, like, oh no, not really. No.
Wow, that sounds exhausting. Like just hearing you talk about that, it's like all of those treatments, all of those things. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's a full-time job.
It was a cycle. So I had my day job working, and then I would spend time going and arranging appointments, and the money that I was spending toward all of that, like I felt exhausted at my job. I was able to patch through. I never needed to miss work because of my symptoms, but it was just one where, like, oh my God, I was afraid of what happens if I get worse and I can't work, and then I need all of these therapies and these supplements, and if I can't work, how am I going to pay for that? It was just round and round and
Wow.
round.
And like, let's talk dollars. Like, how much were you kind of spending on? Because I don't imagine that all those therapies and
Yeah.
treatments in that that amount of time would be
Yeah.
wouldn't come cheap, especially in the States.
Yeah, it was not uncommon for me to walk into a doctor's office and drop $500 to $1,000
Wow.
for the blood work, for the session visit itself, and then the supplements that I had to buy through that practitioner. It was just enormous.
Mm-hmm.
And then the special food, so gluten free everything cost twice as much, and organic and this and that. Um, Not counting the food and such, it all together over the course of maybe 2.5 years, it was probably at least 10 grand
Yeah. Wow.
of visits and supplements and such. It was, yeah, it was a
Wow.
lot. And I didn't feel better. That was the thing. I'm spending this money, and I'm spending $200 at least per month on these supplements. I was up to 17 supplements at one time every day.
Wow.
That was my max. That was my most.
That's like a whole meal.
It is, and my entire day was like, I have to take this before this, I have to take this before I eat, this after I eat, and I ran out of this, so I've got to get more. It was never ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the stress of managing all of that contributed to the perpetuation of being sick.
100%. And this is what I call the symptom spiral, or the pain loop, depending on how it's presenting for people. But the more in which you focus on how sick you are, the more in which you focus on needing to find the solution, inherently it eludes you even more. And this is something that I'm going to touch to in a second. But yeah, that's 17. That's a huge number of supplements. And what are you taking now? Like, how many supplements are you taking today?
One.
One. Okay,
One.
great. Awesome. And in terms of like, it sounds like I'm assuming you've been through like the elimination process of dieting. Like, one of the first things that a lot of people do when they're diagnosed with these type of chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia things is a lot of the elimination diet. So what was some of I know you spoke to like having gluten-free bread and all that kind of stuff, but what are
Mhm.
some of the things that you cut out of your diet?
Sure. I started with Whole30, which is pretty
Mhm.
much really restrictive. So I did Whole30. There was an autoimmune protocol. So that's Whole30 and then even more. So I had a really restrictive repertoire of what I could eat. It made eating really not fun. It took the joy out of eating.
Mhm.
But it was some combination of paleo, so like grain free, it was yeast free, it was sulfur free, it was cruciferous vegetable free at some time. It was soy, dairy, gluten, sugar, alcohol, nightshades, in various combinations. But then sometimes I would go out to eat and I would realize, like, oh no, that was fried in the same fryer as French fry or as things containing gluten. And oh no, this had gluten in it. And I ate it. And I thought that I would be so sick, but sometimes I was and sometimes I wasn't. So it started to create this idea of doubt. Like, is it really the food? No, no, no. I better just continue to avoid it to be safe.
Yeah,
So
got you.
yeah.
And often what people find is that these restrictive diets, and I'm not, they can be really useful at times.
Mhm.
I'm not going against them by any means, but with those restrictive diets, it sounds like it was causing you a whole load of stress, and nothing was really changing in your symptoms, is what I'm hearing.
Right. So that was part of the identity too. I think I wanted to feel special and ask the waiter to make something special for me, or
Hmm.
to say like, what's in this? Oh, I can't have that because I'm sick. And it really took the fun out of going out to eat. It took the fun out of cooking sometimes. Not to mention I lost so much weight, whether it was the restricted intake or the stress about, is this going to hurt me? Is this what's keeping me sick? If I didn't have this food, then my body would be healthy. It was bananas, the depths to which my mind took me about the food. So
Yeah. Wow.
it's really freeing to have zero restrictions.
Yeah. So you have no restrictions on what you eat these days.
No, no,
What?
I choose to eat healthy because it makes my body feel good.
Yeah.
I choose to prioritize nutrients in my body as an act of gratitude for my body,
Hmm.
rather than I can't have that because it's going to make me sick. I choose not to have that because I don't feel my best when I have junk.
Got you. Yeah. And that's such a beautiful way to eat. And so, like, given that now, if you went out for dinner with friends and you went out to a restaurant, would that be something that you'd worry about anymore? Would you worry about having a beer with your meal, or a
Nope,
burger, or?
not a bit.
And so is
It's
the joy returning to eating?
absolutely,
Eating's
yeah.
great. I love eating.
I'm so excited to go on vacation and enjoy tacos and margaritas
Yeah.
and not think twice about it.
Amazing. So yeah, Mexico is where you're off to, right? So
I
tacos and
yeah.
margaritas galore.
Yeah, I'm excited that I don't have to ask them what's in this and can I have this and have to worry about, is this going to make me sick?
Beautiful. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's what you said there is such a truism. It's like, I choose not to eat garbage. I choose not to eat junk food because I feel rubbish after eating it. No wonder it's called junk food. And but I'm choosing now to eat healthy foods, but I'm not doing it from the place of, oh, this is going to make me sick, or this is going to make my symptoms worse. So I want to touch on something now. Now, one of the things with symptoms, and oftentimes when people have been in this symptom spiral, like you were, searching for solutions but never actually finding answers, you're back, what, in 2020, you'd be what I call the hopeful healer. It's just, you're always hoping that the next thing is going to provide you the answers, the next thing's going to take the pain away, the next thing's going to finally help you. But one of the things that or in the places that you and I work from now, is that when you are experiencing symptoms, that's actually a blessing, because experiencing symptoms is guiding you to deal with something that's going on inside, deal with something that's going on in your mind, deal with something that's going on in your life. Would you like
Mhm.
to talk a little bit about that now?
Sure. That's been the biggest lesson that I've learned from GNM and MBM, that
Hmm.
symptoms are indicative of healing, that it's not something new to freak out about. It gives me direction for where to look. Where do I look for clues about what's going on? What do I need to address that my body is healing from? So things that have come up are the widespread discomfort, and it pointing to, where do I need to value myself? Where do I need to honor myself? Where do I need to look for that? Or with certain things like skin issues coming up, that it's just indicating, oh, that's something that I need to consider, huh? And coming at it from curiosity rather than, oh my God, another thing to go to a doctor about, blah, 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 another supplement that I need to take, another cream, another potion, blah. Like, it's really cool to approach it from, huh, my body's doing something to help me heal. Like, I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's all about, is going, oh, I've got a skin condition, instead of freaking out and going, oh my goodness. And this, don't get me wrong, for everyone listening, this isn't an opportunity for you to avoid getting medical treatment, or doing what you need to do, but it's inviting that curiosity. It's looking at your symptoms as meaningful, as going, hey, these symptoms are actually here to show me something. They're here to point me in the right direction of what I need to heal. which on the inside, emotionally, spiritually, which I think is a beautiful point. Now, one of the things that you said earlier was, and by the way, you had a full-time job just trying to get better. And so many people out there, I'm sure, can relate to having that full-time job on top of their other full-time jobs, on top of being parents, on top of being students, whatever it might be. One of the things that you said is that you believe that getting involved in trying to find the solutions was a bit of a distraction. And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it was something to keep my mind occupied. It's something like a task to do, when really the task was to look at what my body was telling me. It was something to keep my mind busy, to always be searching, and it was something, to bring attention to me sometimes too. Like I want attention for this diet, or I don't have any energy. It was an excuse a lot of times, but it was an outward. So focusing on outward things that I can control, that I can do, rather than looking inward and just being with what my body is telling me, being and accepting what's going on in my world, and allowing time for healing. And I didn't let myself sit still long enough for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. And what happened when you started to sit still?
Things started to just kind of float away.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
What do
just
you
kind
mean?
of, and my symptoms resolved.
Mm-hmm.
That I felt more at peace. I felt, like things just weren't an issue anymore. Like, oh, that really used to bother me. Like now, not so much. Like, oh, it comes up and I can let it just go as quickly as it came.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this is such a thing, is so many people they've got symptoms, and their symptoms are actually an opportunity for them to look inside, to look at what's going on in their life, to look at the stresses that they've accumulated over the years. But for so many people, that's hard. That it can be a bit ugly. It can be a bit messy to face up to some of these things in your life. And that's something that I know that resonated with you, is that deep down, you probably knew that there was some things that you needed to resolve internally. But I remember you telling me once that it was actually a way of almost you avoiding doing that. It was doing this inner work was the thing that you'd been avoiding this whole time. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah. I kind of liken it to, I just let things pile up. I could bounce back from a lot of things, when I was in my 20s. I would just let it fill up my bucket. Like I can absorb that, I can take that on. And it just filled up until I was probably about 26. And my body was just like, nope, we can't do this anymore. Like I can't hold this anymore. And that's when I started to notice the physical symptoms. So something was healing, something was going on, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. I couldn't stuff it down. I couldn't, turn it away. I couldn't, um, I couldn't not address it anymore. So
Mm,
it was enough. And, um, it was the biggest blessing, honestly, to have that change, to, um, motivate me to look at things, to make a change. Cause my body said like, nope, not doing it anymore.
yeah.
But it was an opportunity to listen to my body rather than to, um, continue to like crack the whip and to push through it and ignore and stuff. So it sucked in the moment, but it really was the biggest blessing to motivate me toward the changes that I need to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For everyone listening, and for those of you that can relate to Brittany's story, for those of you who can hear yourself in her words, is one of the biggest things is starting to understand that your symptoms are actually a blessing, because they're pointing you in a direction to look at what's going on internally. And one of the ways that you use the bucket analogy, one of the analogies that I use is we all have a backpack. We all have a backpack that we carry around with us. And every time we go through something stressful, something that was difficult, something that was emotionally, mentally uncomfortable, and every time we carry on, it's like putting a rock in our backpack. And over the years, we just continue to go through these events, and we continue to soldier on and push through, as you said, Brittany. And eventually this backpack just gets so heavy and so full that it weighs us down. And this is often when symptoms will start for a lot of people. And this is often when a lot of mental, emotional stresses really start to compound as well. So one of the things that I heard there is, and a lot of people believe, Brittany, that they need to have been through huge emotional PTSD style traumas, like being in a war or being sexually or physically abused. But it doesn't sound like that was the case for you. And knowing your story, it sounds more like it was that gradual build up. Is that right?
Yeah. So that's kind of a trap that I fell into too. Like, I was never assaulted. I never had a divorce, not had anybody close to me die. Like, it was no instance of big T trauma in my life. It was an accumulation of little T traumas and things that I brought on to myself and absorbed and didn't let myself feel in the moment. And just an accumulation of that just build up. But that can manifest in a big way. It doesn't have to be this huge, awful event for your body to remember that. So unpacking a lot of those that's where I started to find that healing, which has been really cool.
Yeah. And that's where it all comes from is, and going back to that analogy, you were walking around with this really heavy backpack. You had this backpack full of all these little T traumas, failing an exam at school, maybe having an argument with your family or whatever, like all these little things that we just don't deal with in the moment. We just suppress them, push them down and put them in that backpack. What ends up happening is that backpack is heavy and it starts creating these physical symptoms seemingly out of nowhere. But what a lot of people do is they go, okay, well, I've got all these symptoms. I'm just going to try and find a way to cope with this heavy backpack. I'm going to try and cut out everything from my diet. I'm going to try and find ways in which to cope with having this heavy backpack. But what you're telling me is that the healing actually happened for you when you started to unpack those rocks, start to take them out one by one.
Yeah. Realizing this was never mine to pick up. Like, I picked up things from my family, the things that my friends would tell me, the opinions of others and stories that I created. Like, oh, wait a minute, I have a choice. I don't need to carry this rock anymore. So learning when I can unload a lot of those rocks, and when a rock comes my way, is this mine to pick up? Nope, I'm not going to go there again. So it's been really cool to lighten that load and not put any rocks back in. But things like setting boundaries and speaking my mind and letting myself feel, they have been huge, because I never learned how to do that as a child. I never learned how to do that from my family. So navigating that as an adult is where I am. But it's cool. It's a blessing. It's a really cool journey.
Yeah.
So it's really unpacking all of that.
Yeah. And so with the unpacking, one of the things you just said then is, as a child, you didn't really know how to show emotions. And this is something that a lot of, I'm sure I can relate to as well, is we're often brought up, it's like, you need to be strong, you need to put on a brave face, you need to, don't cry, shh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And so it sounds like for you, that was part of it, and learning to actually sit with how you were feeling, not without getting caught up in it, without letting that emotion carry off into a mood for 3 or 4 days, but actually just sitting with that emotion and being present with yourself. Was that how you started to unpack some of those things?
Yeah, it was just letting myself identify what's going on, feeling it, letting it wash over me, knowing that it's okay. As I feel as a child, I didn't have a model for how to let that go. It was invalidated. You're fine. Like, no, that's not scary, or no, that's you shouldn't be mad about that. Like, there were so many stories that I picked up about what I was and was not allowed to feel, how I was able to express sadness and anger, but also joy. So it really took away the extremes of what I was and was not allowed to feel based on my upbringing. But knowing that the full range of emotion is normal and healthy, and that it's okay to learn how to express those, because letting them fester inside is not the way that I do it anymore. That it's normal, and that is the journey that I'm meant to go on.
Beautiful. That's amazing. And so many people we suppress, we push down, and I think one of the biggest things that people do, and this has been made really obvious in the last couple of years, is we distract ourselves. We find ways of, because what ends up happening is people feel these uncomfortable feelings and emotions that we've stored in our body, and no one really wants to feel uncomfortable. No one wants to actually do that. But one of the ways that we advocate is when you actually lean into that feeling and let it be there, instead of distracting yourself, scrolling through social media or whatever. When you actually just sit with that and accept it, that's the only way you can start to unpack those rocks.
Yeah, that is what I'm working on. It's a practice. It's a
It
habit.
is.
I think there was a quote, I believe you shared it, I forget who it was, that conflict deferred is conflict multiplied, something like that. Or whenever you don't feel your feelings and just push it off, that it festers and it grows, and it kind of just comes out when you can't take it anymore.
And this is
Um,
so often the case
yeah.
for people, is they'll push things down, and then that it's almost like a pressure cooker. This pressure
Mhm.
cooker will, you've taken on so much of other people's stuff. You've had these little stressful events accumulate over your life, and it's like a pressure cooker that all of a sudden just pops, and people can then, I don't know about you, but this is what was me in the past, is I could then fly off the handle and snap at people that I care about, or say things that I didn't mean, or get resentful towards other people and go, what's going on here? But it's all because of that accumulated stress, all those rocks that have gone into your backpack.
Yeah. Yeah, you go, or you see people go from 95 to 100 real quick, and it's like, well, where'd that come from? But you don't really see what takes them from 0 to 95, what gets
Mm-hmm.
them that way. And recognizing that there was all of this built up underneath, and that I can work on releasing some of that pressure, that's healthy, that
Yeah.
it's okay. Start speaking my mind, saying when things bother me, and just sharing, being okay being seen,
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm working on as well. Um, but just letting that out is key to healing, to not let that pressure build up again.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think you just shared there is speaking and talking about this stuff is such a beautiful way. Most people think that in order to go back and release this stuff from the past, you need to be crying for 4 hours and sobbing. But that's not the case. A lot of the time, it's just saying how you feel, talking about what was going on and how things made you feel, and then unpacking it from that perspective. And I know that's been the case for you. It's people think that healing, it's going to be this big cathartic moment where all of a sudden the fog lifts and you're free of all this mental chatter, and then you're healed and now you're on your way. But it's just not the case. And as you alluded to, it is a practice. It's something that we continually do. And one of the illusions that I think people get into is, I think that they think that healing is some kind of destination, and once you're there, everything's going to be fine. But for everyone, it's a practice. And some of these things that we've suppressed, some of these things that we've bottled up, particularly from childhood, they kind of hide under the surface, and they wait for a trigger to show up. They wait for something to happen in your everyday to come to the surface, and that's when you can start to heal them. So um, I think that's a really, really cool thing, Brittany. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing. There's two more things I want to say. One of the things that you said during the program, and learning about how your mind affects your body, and learning about how your symptoms are meaningful, learning how your symptoms are actually a blessing, and they're teaching you to look at something inside of yourself. One of the things that you said, and I've used this quote so many times, is you said, this work is like coming home to yourself. Do you want to touch on what that means to you?
Yeah. It really, for me, it was letting go of all of the things that I can let go of that were never mine to pick up. It was searching for me outside, and the right doctor to tell something about me that I
Mm-hmm.
needed to know to unlock myself, when I gave my power away. And I was searching for that externally, when all that I needed to do was to sit still and look within, and notice that I'm here, and that it's been the most beautiful journey back to myself and reclaiming that power.
Wow. And so when you come back to yourself, how does that make you feel?
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like like enlivened. I find the joy inside
Mhm.
that life really opens up, that I created all of this nonsense outside of me when um, it's really meant to just be enjoyed when I'm present.
Sounds a lot quieter, even though you're a very analytical person and you think things through like better than most people. Is it sounds like the chatter in your brain has since quietened down.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's not one's bad and one's good. It's a balance of head and heart and presence and flow, joy, ease, peace.
Hmm.
That's what I'm embracing. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And finally, Brittany, just to leave you here. So, being a mind body master, learning how to heal and learning how to understand your body and your mind. Do you want to just tell me a little bit about what being a mind body master means to you?
Sure. To me, that means, again, it's the balance,
Hmm.
and that, um, yes, there are symptoms in my body sometimes, but that the body follows the mind. So if I focus on healing the mind and letting go of things, letting go of those rocks, taking rocks out, then the body follows. That it was never a physical thing. It is at the mind level. Um, and balancing all of that is where the magic is.
Beautiful. So, I guess being a mind body master as well means that you spend a lot less time worrying about your body and your health, right?
Absolutely, it's more enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's more peaceful and calm, and I'm stepping more into that every day.
Beautiful. Hey, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. And like I said, I know that so many people I could probably keep chatting to you for hours about this stuff, but thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing your journey. And I'm sure what your words are going to inspire a lot of people. So thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Talk to you soon. There you go. So there is Brittany's story, all about how she started off as a spoonie, a term that I discovered since working with her, to becoming a mind body master, being able to heal herself from the inside, being able to unpack those rocks from her backpack. So this is a really great example of what happens when you switch your attention from focusing on fixing the symptoms to dealing what's going on the inside, which isn't always easy, isn't always comfortable, but man, is it rewarding. So I ask you, if this resonated with you, or if you know someone that this episode and Brittany's story is going to resonate with, please share this episode with them, because it might be the very thing that starts them to realize that they have the ability to heal. It might inspire them to recognize that they're not lost. And on that, if you'd like to join the Mind Body Masters program like Brittany did, be sure to head over to the website, mindbodymasters.com, and you'll see a link somewhere on that page for the wait list for the next program. The next program will be opening, we only open this program twice a year, so the next program will be opening towards the end of July. This is recorded in 2021. So if you want to be a part of this transformational program where you learn how to understand your body, learn how to understand your mind, and learn how to take those rocks out of your backpack and start healing both physically and emotionally, be sure to join that waitlist. All right, guys, I will see you on the next episode. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode in full. And now I have a free gift for you. Now, if you'd like to understand more about how stress impacts not only your mind, but your body, well, you're in luck, because right now we have a free mini course titled Mastering Your Mind, which is going to teach you all about how stress impacts your body and how you can start reversing the effects and start living not only a pain-free, healthy life, but also start feeling more calm, more present, and joyful. So if you want to get instant access to this, plus a free guided meditation, head on over to the website mindbodymasters.com/mastering-your-mind to get instant access to this one-of-a-kind program. Now, if you're anything like me, you're sick of seeing people suffer needlessly. And it's my mission in life to help people realize that they have the ability to heal themselves from the inside out by doing this inner work. So if you want to join me on this mission, there's two things that you can do to help out. The first thing is head on over to iTunes and give this show a 5-star review. By doing so, it helps us reach more people. And secondly, share this episode with someone that you know will resonate with this message. By you sharing this podcast with them, it might be the very thing that starts them on their healing journey. So thank you so much for listening to the show, and I'll see you again on the next episode.